SwoleBenji here. I'm going to go over what it was like going to school in the absolute worst ghetto. This will be a multi-part series where I cover all years of schooling events that basically happened while going to some of the most poor, dangerous schools out there. I know this isn't a World of Warcraft video, but I'd like to make some of these just to see how you guys relate. I'll make more gaming videos, so don't worry. I bet most of you went to a high-end fancy school, huh? Well, anyway, this is what happened when I went to school, covering pre-K through 5th grade. This video will only cover through 1st grade. I feel like not many people went through what I'm going to talk about, so if anyone out there can relate, please leave a comment. I'll cover some things outside of school as well that pertain to the age or time period. Let's start with pre-K. It's not required where I'm from, but my parents basically used it as a daycare. I actually have a very good memory of being a child. Before I get into the gritty details, I want to gloat a little bit and mention that before even hitting pre-K, I was able to read, write, and do some pretty strong math, as I had started gaming as early as age 3, and when I'd play games that required reading and math, so like after pestering my parents over and over on what the characters were saying on the screen or what my HP value was and how that worked, they explained it. It's kind of like taking the gifted talent in Fallout. Great in the early game, but it makes your in-game kind of crappy. So anyway, here I am in pre-K. I was told what's going on and what to expect, and so I was pretty calm. Other kids though, oh, so many kids were crying. They didn't understand why their parents were leaving them, who these other people were, or what even was going on. Prior to this point, I hadn't even seen another kid. I knew they existed due to television and video games, and the fact that I exist means that others like me exist. Big brain for a child? Not really. But man, these other kids, they weren't like on TV at all. It was really weird. Like, some kids would not talk to me at all, or even look at me. Most kids were impulsive and wild. I was mostly chill, but able-bodied. I was able to climb or complete all the little toys or outside playground equipment. But surprisingly, other kids either didn't get it or were too weak to pull themselves onto things. My interaction with other kids was pretty much non-existent. Most kids just weren't social or used to talking at all, not even to the adults. Now, the weird thing about this pre-K, and this is really weird, is that they separated all the white and black kids. I don't know why. Yes, this is modern day, not some old-timey thing. They actually separated us, and the urban kids didn't get chairs or a desk to sit in, right? I told my mom and she pulled me out of there shortly after, but I don't remember anything about the adults or what they did except they gave us paperwork to complete. That was pretty much it. Pretty lame, boring stuff, right? I mean, it's pre-K. Most kids weren't even very developed yet. Anyway, on to kindergarten. Things get crazy here. Now, before we get into kindergarten, I lived in some pretty ghetto apartments around this time. 99% of my neighbors were Koreans, and in that era, they were very strict with their kids about their academics. They were also much older than me, since I was only a pre-K. When I'd play with them, because that's what kids did back in the day, we wouldn't did like math problems and educational things, since that's the kind of thing that their parents had them doing all the time. So it was normal to them. Sure, we played video games too, and I watched some very violent anime as early as age 6. I think it was called Seven Samurai or Ronin something. It had like multicolored samurai, like there was a samurai with blue armor and a samurai with red armor, and they'd like cut someone's arm off and it'd bleed everywhere and shoot out a big fountain of blood. And I was like, oh, this is so cool, dude. I've never seen anything like this, right? It's just really nice. It's really cool. And the other Korean kids, they got a kick out of showing it to me. They were really hype. But yeah, going into kindergarten, I was able to do more advanced math thanks to my neighbors, right? Like negatives and whatnot, stuff like that. And now this is important for later, right? My reading level also had gotten good. Like, it was so good I was able to read adult books, you know, like those fucking steamy romance novels. And when I say adult, you know, the ones with the hunky dudes with the six-pack on the cover, stuff like that. I didn't always understand what the words meant, but I'd ask my parents and they'd tell me something like, you'll understand when you're older. Anyway, so kindergarten. My very, very first day, I was dropped off, and I opened the door to the class. It was locked, though, so another kid opened the door, and he immediately punched me in the face, and then slammed the door shut. My parents were watching from the car because it was an outdoor classroom, basically like a trailer of sorts. Like, what the heck? Why did he punch me? This kid never talked to me, and I never saw him after kindergarten. I don't know, it's just weird. So kindergarten was depressing as heck. There was, that kid that cried every single day for their mom, every single day the same thing. And the teacher had no idea how to shut them up or handle it, probably didn't give a shit. Then you had the kid that would just eat or chew everything. Disgusting, man. There was one boy that would get super upset anytime the teacher handed out a pamphlet for like ballet or something that was girls only. He'd pout and scream that he wished he was a girl. Now, when the teacher was teaching addition and subtraction, and this happened in later grades as well, they'd ask something like, can you take away from 0? And I'd be like, yes, it's a -1. And because, like, I'd get scolded for it, right? Well, we're not teaching that. And of course I'd argue back because my Asian friends had taught me negatives, right? It's like the teachers had no fucking idea what to do when a student actually stood up to their bullshit. Now for the story of how I was knocked out cold. Yes, in kindergarten. It was recess, and me, being a kindergartner, walked right in front of the swing set as kids were swinging. Well, me not realizing or being aware of any of my surroundings, I look over just right as the kid, the same one that punched me in the face on my first day. He had both his feet out, you know, to build momentum in his swing. He just collides his feet right on my chin. I remember it very clearly. His feet hit my chin, everything goes black. I feel my body flying in the air. I collide with the ground. I can still hear what's going on around me, but I'm unable to move or really feel much, and I'm still able to think, just not act. Am I dead? Did I die? I hear a student run over to tell the teacher, who then instructs a few other students to drag me over to her. I can feel my arms being lifted up and then being dragged and then dropped. At some point I wake up, the teacher inspects me and tells me I'm fine. I check a mirror later and there's a huge red mark on my chin where I got full force kicked with both legs. Like, imagine being drop kicked but with the full momentum of a maximum height swing. But yeah, ghetto school, poor household, no checkup, no CT scan, no anything, just, oh, you're fine, and then off I went. But yeah, back to it. At some point, the teacher realizes I'm a little higher leveled than the other kids, at least with my schoolwork. I'm able to ace everything. She gives me harder problems to do, tests my reading ability, including one of her steamy romance novels that she was always reading. No fucking joke! And starts the process of allowing me to skip grades. I don't know who messed that up for me, either my parents or somebody, but it was decided that skipping grades would affect me socially or something. Maybe they thought I had the tism. It's whatever. I didn't want to be the small kid in class anyway, though in reality I was very small compared to other kids. As a matter of fact, I was so skinny and underweight that I wouldn't be able to shift my weight into a force, like, you know how like you kickstart a bike or you pull the cord on a mower, until my teen years. Other notable things, one time the teacher fed us these toasted pumpkin seeds with salt, and they were so good. They were so good. But none of the other students liked them at all. They all hated it, and I loved it. I was the only one that liked them. Once the teacher, she walked into the bathroom and there was like a girl already in there, and she the kid immediately screamed super loud. I remember thinking, what's the big deal, right? Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just weird, but like at some point kids would make fun of me for being able to answer every question on point, and some points kids would make fun of me, for admitting that I thought girls were pretty. Like, what the heck, dude? Only because they had long hair and they were nice to me, right? Sort of. Anyway, blame the novels I was reading. I didn't really believe in the cooties propaganda, though I felt that way if other guys would brush up against me or touch me, but not girls, right? Not much else really notable. I was like, 1 down, 12 to go, thinking every grade would be this easy. Kids weren't really social, and there was really no one to talk to about video games, since again, this was the ghetto. And back then, video games weren't very mainstream or popular, at least not in my area, and maybe in some other parts of the world they were. But anyway, on to first grade. Oh man, this is when things really started to go downhill for my happiness. The teacher really didn't like me when I explained negatives. She didn't like that she couldn't bully me by having me read out loud like she could other kids. You know, there was this one urban kid that was really funny, which would make me laugh super crazy hard, like expert comedian level urban like comedy, right? And we weren't friends, but he was just like the best class clown ever, man. The teacher had him removed from the class and everyone blamed me for laughing at him. Like, I didn't do it. This teacher was such a cunt to me, man. Like, she made popcorn for all the other students, but she wouldn't allow me to eat any. And I'm kind of thankful because she just poured it on the ground, the nasty carpeted ground, and all the kids were just eating the popcorn off the ground. It's really nasty, right? I ate some anyway, fuck her. And she sent me out of the classroom, like, what the heck? The other students were, like, the worst also. I'd get talked down to and treated like subhuman for liking video games and not liking sports or religion. We actually had an uppity rich kid that was for some reason being schooled in the ghetto. He always had the newest everything, but he hated video games, and therefore he hated me, since it's all I really talked about. One day he was the Chad of recess because he had this dumb little kickstand that held the football upwards to practice punting, right? Holy crap, everyone idolized him for this stupid kickstand. Of course he wouldn't let me kick the ball because he hated me. Well, fuck this little rich prick. At some point, he left his little kickstand unguarded, so I buried that thing under a big pile of leaves. We got extra recess time to go look for it, right? Like the teacher had us all go help him try to find it. I made sure to pretend to help while diverting anyone that got close to that pile of leaves. Success! No one found it. And I came back after school released for the day when no one was around and I got it. I chunked that shit straight into the sewage pipes nearby. He got what he deserved. Also, on the subject of theft, some girl whipped me with her fucking jump rope and called me a slave. And, you know, that also went mysteriously missing. Why? Because I didn't believe in religion. Oh no, gosh man. I remember the very first girl I ever actually told that she was pretty at recess, like in first grade. Her immediate reaction was to kick me right in the balls. What the heck, man? I'm not trying to make this like a woe is me, life is unfair video, I swear. It's just that people strictly did not like me because of two things. I played video games and talked about video games, and I didn't believe in religion. That's it. Maybe it was something else. I don't know, man. But so at this grade, like, I did get a bully, right? Like, remember, I'm malnourished and skinny and underweight, awkward kid with no beliefs, and I like video games. This kid that was the bully, he was supposed to be in third grade, but he failed to pass twice. Like, what the fuck, man? The first thing I remember this little shit did to me was steal a golden star sticker off my pencil box, right? Just some cheap-ass little gold star. I don't know, I got a sticker at some point. I put it on my pencil box. I was so hyped. I still remember it. I'm still mad to this day. He just ripped it off and he wouldn't give it back, and it just blew my mind. The teacher and other students wouldn't even help me. They just didn't care. This kid would continue to torment me with name calling and other crap that never really bothered me, but one day at recess, the kids were all kicking around a soccer ball, and I wanted to play too. So I started playing, but the other kid wasn't having any of it, right? He basically told me to go away, and I refused. So after some arguing, he eventually punched me in the stomach to get me to go away. It didn't really hurt that much, so I punched him in the face. It didn't really hurt him that much because I was much smaller than him. So quickly I had to find a way to ruin everyone's fun, since they all hated me anyway. I didn't give a shit. I quickly ran to that ball. I kicked it as hard as I could with all of my first grade rage over the fence and into the nearby sewage drain, right? Screw them. With everyone hating me, I stopped caring. I had enough. Gamers rise up. The teacher saw the whole thing and didn't even do anything about it. When the other kids told on me for kicking the ball away, she just told them to stop being a tattletale. I never got in trouble for it. But yeah, I was pretty unhappy at this point. I never smiled, I stared at the ground, I kept my head down. I just didn't want to be at school anymore. I still aced every subject, but I got medium to low conduct grades because I was always having to fend off other students. Usual crap that would keep me down, like on Valentine's Day, everyone would give each other little candies and cards and stuff, but no one gave me anything. And if I tried to give anyone anything, they would refuse it. No one signed my yearbook, no one talked to me really about anything. It was very lonely. I remember the teacher would just randomly send me out of class. Like, I'd be done with my work just sitting in silence, and she would tell me to go outside of the classroom, right? I think the only joy I ever got was in gym class. I outperformed everybody. I could outrun everyone. I could climb the rope when no one else could. I could do more push-ups, sit-ups, etc. At recess, I could parkour all of the things, do one-armed muscle-ups. I could wall climb between narrow openings, all sorts of stuff. Other kids, they could barely do the monkey bars without losing their grip, while I could balance and run across the top of them. Heck, I could shimmy across the sides with one arm. And again, I'm just in first grade. I'm also malnourished, so like I'm super lightweight, and you know, I'm not trying to brag, but man, I was like freaking like Assassin's Creed in recess, man. This is also probably because outside of school, I was often left unsupervised, and I played on the nearby construction sites or in the nearby forest, right? I'd climb everything. I'd run everywhere. Like, I never walked as a kid, I just ran. And I generally, like, I would jump or balance or do all sorts of like very dangerous, crazy stuff because I was just, you know, a sad, depressed kid, right? I'd get under staircases and climb up them like a vertical monkey bar. I'd go to the second story of the apartment and I would like hang off the side and drop down. I got this idea from Prince of Persia, right, back in the day. I remember like I'd be like, it would sting my ankles when I landed, but you know, it didn't really hurt that bad. And I was lightweight and skinny. It didn't really ever truly hurt. I'd climb trees in rollerblades just because I could. I just had the upper body strength, or I was just so lightweight. I could do running jumps like in Prince of Persia. You know, you got to run and jump across the gap before the spikes stab you. I could do little wall runs like Hanzo. Not as good as Hanzo. I don't think that's humanly possible, but I could do it kind of like Hanzo. I could run up the wall and get some extra, you know, distance. Only like 4 steps. There's actual parkour people out there that are better, but I was getting there, man. I could run down really steep hills and not lose balance. I felt so free, so free. One other school event that I forgot to actually type down in my script was they did this thing where they would invite 5th graders into the classroom to like buddy up with you and then read you stories and shit. So on that day, I got some random girl, and I noticed that like none of the 5th graders, you know, as a 1st grader, you think 5th graders are cool, right? None of the 5th graders were actually reading us the stories, and I didn't give a shit because I could already read. I didn't need someone to read to me. And so this 5th grade chick, she just sat around with her friends and the other students, and they just talked about whatever was going on at the time, like, you know, toys and movies and whatever. And at one point the girl is like, hey, I learned this new trick to make boys feel weird. And she like cups her hands and like very seductively, like very lightly like rubs my knee, and I'm like, ooh, hey, this is kind of cool, right? Like a 5th grader's kind of feeling me up on the knees. Anyway, that's about all I remember about that. But I'm gonna skip ahead to 5th grade real quick. When I was a 5th grader, and this isn't in a different school anyway, and we were supposed to be paired up to read to the 1st graders, the 1st grader got fucking pissed off because I wasn't reading them the story. I just wanted to shoot the shit, talk about video games, which got a little more popular at the time because I think Pokemon came out, maybe around that time. I'm not sure exactly when. No, Pokemon wasn't out yet. Never mind, my bad. But you get the idea. Like the 1st graders are like, read to me. And I was like, nah, man, let's talk about movies and stuff. Come on, man, let's just chill and hang out. We don't have to do any work, you know, and it wasn't the same. Like, what the heck? Alright, so let me get into some major events that happened around this time outside of school. So I had some interesting neighbors, right? I already talked about the Koreans, but upstairs was this kid. He's semi-relevant later on in high school, but anyway, this kid is pure trouble. We hang out. He doesn't really play video games, but we do play outside, just doing random stuff. He pulled my hair once, and I punched him a bit, and he lost a tooth, but generally, we were okay with one another. One day, he took his parents' lighter, and we were out in the middle of a field. I don't know if I should really tell the whole story because the dude's kind of a mega felon now. He's a super dangerous guy. If I ever reveal who I am, his cronies could take me out, guys. But anyway, he got his parents' lighter, and we were he was burning grass out in the middle of the empty field. I was just gonna watch him do it because I couldn't figure out the little child protective shit. I mean, I kind of could, but it was really tough, and I was like, whatever, this is stupid. I also was taught fire safety, so I wasn't gonna be burning stuff. Well, anyway, it was a hot, dry day, and eventually the little bits of dried grass he was burning ignites and spreads. First sign of fire, I immediately speed away on my bicycle, right? I just run and like immediately home on my bike, yeah, and chill, right? I'm just fucking chill. I don't tell my parents. Well, guess what? He, being the genius that he is, he runs home and he tells his parents about a fire. He doesn't really mention that he did it, and then he knocks on my door all panicked, and you know, he's playing an act here. He realizes I haven't said anything, and he starts telling my parents that there's a fire, like, oh my god, there's a fire, right? How do I know? Well, the walls were real thin in the apartment complex, and he was screaming it upstairs. Remember, we're like 1st graders. Well, at least I don't know what grade he was in, but I was. So his parents call the fire department, and by now we go to the field, parents and all, and there's you know, there's other people that notice it now too. And the fire is massive. The fire spread into a really big ass line, like a sorceress on Diablo 2 casting firewall. Big, but like the entire field. It's just a wall of fire. And it was starting to circle around. I remember the adults saying that it was a 4-alarm fire. Tons of firefighters came to put the fire out. There was so many trucks, it was crazy. We spent the rest of the day just watching the firefighters do their job. No one ever really found out that he started that shit. No one got hurt, and there wasn't any real damage other than the grass and maybe a few trees. But you know, that was it. Not a big deal. I mean, it was, but another crazy thing that happened, a separate event, is the first time I saw a dead body. Living in the ghetto, you see fights. Well, two drunken adults were fighting on the second-story patio, full-on fist fight. Well, one guy decked the other. He tumbled off the balcony and landed on his face and died. Of course, my parents, you know, they would tell me, oh, he's not dead. But no. He totally died. The guy that punched him off the balcony had a son that I hung out with a few times. I went over to their house once and they had a complete wall just decorated with swords, knives, throwing stars, and other weapons. No guns, just like melee weapons, right? Like maces and spears and stuff. Like, but he was like a big fat tattooed up like white supremacist looking biker dude. I'm assuming, man, just by the way he looked. He wasn't like a weeaboo or anything. They didn't exist back then. Now, I mean, it wasn't all bad though. I had another neighbor, and it was two brothers. They were both Korean teenagers, and they were really cool. They were apparently experts at video games, and they had entered tournaments and whatnot, and they did really well and made a lot of money. Like, not a lot of money like in today's esports, but you know, like a couple $100 back then was pretty damn good for playing a video game. You know, just little local tournaments and stuff. There wasn't like the internet and stuff. I mean, there was, but no one really had the internet yet. Now, esports, it wasn't established really. It was just like local arcades, game stores. You know, around the time I got into it, I was getting $300 to $500 prize pools. Good stuff. But anyway, these teenagers, they were absolute bros, and they taught me more academics. They taught me a lot of fighting techniques, like grapples and how to, if you watch your opponent's eyeballs, like in a fight, 99% of normal people will just look where they're going to strike you. All sorts of things like that. They were absolute chads, and they even morphed me from a video game casual into someone who can take a game and be as competitive as possible. Well, as how you to get, like, you know, how to gain an edge over others. Like back then, there was no internet, so to look up combos in video games, you had to actually read gaming magazines. Well, these dudes had them all, and we practiced on games like Street Fighter 2 so much that I was able to eventually beat them. Like, that's how much we trained. Sadly, there was downsides to this because when they would have their friends over, which were their age, I was just like a little baby kid, and instead of sticking up for me or treating me like a bro, they turned into dicks real fast when it came to peer pressure. Like one time I was just outside playing randomly, and one of their friends stole a water gun that I had. I don't know, like maybe a $10 little super soaker or something. I remember that these were teenagers and I was a first grader, right? They didn't help me or give it back. It was just gone forever. I remember eating a cheesecake the first time at their house and thinking it was super gross because they didn't explain what a cheesecake was. Because, you know, at that time in my life, I had only had normal cake. I expected it to taste like, you know, like just sweet and stuff. I like cheesecake now. Cheesecake is amazing, but you know, as a first grader, nah, man. Just a random memory. Can anyone relate? One day they took a can of Dr. Pepper and they put a little hole at the top, and then they shook it up and, you know, covered the hole with their thumb. And then they sprayed it on. They just sprayed it at me like a little soda gun, right? And well, I went, you know, I ran home, I got a can of like off-brand soda, and I did the same thing to them, and they got pissed at me because I had soaked their designer clothing or some crap. And they didn't talk to me after that. They did it to me, and I did it back. And I'm the bad guy? Eventually, their mom hit like 5 out of 6 numbers on a lottery ticket and they moved away. The funny story about these guys, though, is they became really successful. Like, one of them became a surgeon, and the other is now a huge YouTuber, man. Huge. He is like over 1 million subs, huge. I don't talk to him, though. I just recognize him because of his real name. It's the same dude. It's totally the same dude. And I could be like, hey, man, remember me? I was that six-year-old little boy at so-and-so apartment. Maybe I can network with them, guys. The fact that these guys molded me in the way I play video games, it really makes a difference later on. Anyway, that's really it as far as from pre-K to first grade. It only goes more downhill from here, if I even bothered to continue this series. Making this kind of put me in a crappy mood since my childhood wasn't great at all. At least all the bullies and bad guys in today's story are in terrible shape with their lives. I looked them up on Facebook. But then again, I'm homeless, so I guess we're all kind of in a crappy position, huh? We're just drowning in the ghetto together. Either way, if you like the video or the guides that I put out for like World of Warcraft and stuff, because I do make World of Warcraft guides, go check them out. Make sure to subscribe. At the moment, I just mostly make World of Warcraft stuff, but I would like to do other videos as well. I just kind of need to upgrade my computer. Escape from Tarkov is really fun, guys. If you want to chat about whatever, hit me up in the Discord. Links in the description. And if you're doing very well in life, feel free to use that donation link. I'll put it towards making more videos, which right now means eating something that isn't rice or beans. As always, be a bro and stay swole.